Mama? Junior Vita. Junior. Kunci tu tak.
That cloud looks like a rabbit. So cute.
Wait. Oh my god, who sleeps like that? Brother. It's so cute. Do you want to say hi? Where are you going, sir? आज आपने खाने में क्या खाया? अब बताइए तो ज़रा. He's having his lunch.
I just hope my phone will not fall off from the mobile holder because the screws have gotten a bit loose, so my phone keeps falling. I have some reading updates to give, and at the same time, I want to talk about the books that I would like to read, and I also want to start a personal curriculum because there are a few things that I would like to start learning. So I just wanted to talk about the books that I would like to start and also look into how to make my personal curriculum. That would be fun. Maybe in the next video I will try to go through how I'm making my personal curriculum and will I be able to do it. The problem with me is that I'm very spontaneous in nature. If I feel like doing it, I'll just do it for hours, but then if I'm like committing for too long, I may not do it. That's a me issue which I should work on. Let's see. I read Taiwan Travelogue. So this book is set during the time when Japan was colonizing Taiwan. We are following a young Japanese novelist, Aoyama Chizuko, as she's visiting Taiwan after being invited by the Japanese government. Here she wants to experience the country in its fullest, the culture, the language, the people, as she meets this Taiwanese woman. Her name is Chizuru, which is not her actual name, by the way. It's her Japanese name. At that time, people had to take Japanese name because of the cultural assimilation. The way this book is structured is that the author portrays herself as the translator of the book instead of the creator, where she's basically translating what Shizuka has written, documenting her travel to Taiwan. It's pretty much from the perspective of someone who isn't really for the colonization, but she's benefiting from it. So this way of structuring this book kind of creates this distance between the narrator and the historical context of the time. Because Chizuko may romanticize the country, she may admire it, love it, but at the same time, she's not able to see the subtle nature of hierarchy, as this book explores the power imbalance between her and Chizuru. And it was done in such a nuanced way because the feeling of admiration and love that Chizuko had for Chizuru was also quite genuine, but she couldn't really understand how her position differed a lot from Chizuru's and that she was taking for granted. The Japanese colonized Taiwan from 1895 to 1945 after signing the treaty with the Qing dynasty. And since Taiwan was the first overseas colony, they focused a lot on the development. They built a lot of infrastructure, worked on the sanitation, literacy rate, as they forced a lot of cultural assimilation where they tried to pretty much erase the culture of Taiwan itself. And Here, at one point, Chizuru mentions that before the Japanese, it was a different group, basically the majority of the land, how they were doing the same with other indigenous people of the land. And it basically tells you that the culture of Taiwan wasn't really untouched or pure when the Japanese occupied, because a lot of our culture have been impacted by the history, and I feel like this is really about the resilience of people who try to survive through adaptation and by trying to fit in while still trying to carry the fragments of themselves. And there are so many instances that this book is able to show you that through food. When we're learning about this cuisine, we are also learning the practice of it and how it was adapted and why it became a part of the culture. I'm also fascinated how the Japanese colonization structurally differed from the British colonization, because the British colonization, they industrialized India and they never built any infrastructure in the country, as they mostly extorted. When they left, India was divided in poverty, and we have a lot of scars from colonization that I feel like a lot of us are still trying to overcome, especially as the younger generation who haven't experienced those things, but we have inherited the burden of the history and the trauma that comes through generation. And I feel like such colonized countries are still trying to find out who they really are, because our culture has been tried to be eradicated, and we as people still try to hold on to it. I find it to be quite beautiful and hopeful too. So yeah, this was Taiwan Travelogue. Right, so let's talk about my reading plans. I really want to finish Heaven Official's Blessing before I leave for my hometown, because I will be leaving by the second week of June. And I'm very excited because I'm finally going to be in the nature and just going to enjoy my time being with people who can speak my mother tongue. Okay, so this is a very weird thing. Since I live in a different part of India, I don't find a lot of people who speak my mother tongue. And my community is actually a language minority, so we don't have a lot of people who speak Vishnupriya Manipuri. So whenever I go back to my home, I just feel so comfortable. I feel like, oh my god, this is a place that I just want to be. And I think this is why people want to preserve their culture, because times are changing and we have had a huge history which has happened to us, and we are just trying to maintain something of ourselves, since culture is also a part of our identity and it plays a huge role. I'm going to enjoy my time being in the nature, reading, and being with people who can understand me, even though my Manipuri skills are quite bad comparatively. Anyway, so I want to finish this series because the books are very heavy and I cannot really travel with them, and I want to take minimum books so that I don't burden myself with carrying the luggage. I think I will be able to finish it within a week because I can just fly through them. They're just so fun and the plot is just chef's kiss, and I've already started it. I'll be making a vlog for sure where I will talk about Heaven Official's Blessing with full spoilers, so I'm not going to give any spoilers here in case someone still hasn't read it yet. So we have Heaven Official's Blessing. Then the next book I want to read is The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea, and I feel like the timing of reading this book is also kind of perfect because this book is written in 1963, where Japan was trying to build itself again after losing the Second World War. So I'm not really sure what this book is about. From what I can understand, I feel like this book is about the absence of ideal in society and how lost the young people feel. I've already read the first chapter and it's quite symbolic because here we find a 13-year-old who feels very confined where he is, and he's kind of detaching himself from his reality. He's also idealizing this sailor guy. I don't know how to talk about this book because I'm still trying to process my thoughts, so it's very interesting and I can't wait to continue reading. The writing seems quite beautiful too. It's just filled with a bunch of symbolism, and I was getting quite confused, but if we look beneath the layer, I think it's kind of making sense. So we are following Noboru here, and I have written some annotation. I always forget what I write. So Noboru feels detached from his ordinary life, and he believes that society, parents, and conventional values are meaningless. He wants certainty, greatness, purity, something larger than everyday existence. Honestly, this is kind of reminding me of The Catcher in the Rye, so this is going to be fun. I'm hoping to also finish this book before I leave, and I don't think I will be able to finish this one, but I really want to read Moby Dick. It has been some time since I've sank into a big book, so I really want to read Moby Dick, and I have heard that this book is filled with symbolism, and I am very interested in symbolism, and I was watching this psychology lecture which talks about symbolism, and the way the teacher was explaining things was just so fascinating, and I just cannot wait to read this book. I actually had a severe stomachache yesterday, so I couldn't read anything, and even today I was playing Genshin Impact, so I didn't read anything. So I need to get on track, yes. The other book that I really want to start is The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. I actually read Atlas Shrugged by her last year, and I read it as a book club read, which was so fun because we got to discuss the books, and I just had a great time reading that book. It was so fascinating because it just made me question so much of my own belief system and try to explain to myself, like, why do I believe them, and at what certain degree do I agree with Ayn Rand or not, and it was just fun. So I'm going to be buddy reading this with my friends. I think I should start this already because we are planning to have deeper discussions, and I'm really looking forward to it because I feel like whenever I get to have discussions with friends, I just have the best time reading, so I can't wait to read this. So I have some plans for my personal curriculum because I want to start reading about philosophy, and I want to start some financial education because I have just ran away from the idea of money for so long, and I eventually want to read this book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Yeah, The Richest Man in Babylon. And so in the back it says, a man's wealth is not in the coins he carries in his purse. It is the income he builds, the gold stream that continually flows into his purse and keeps it always bulging. Oh, okay. This is going to be so fun, and I feel like this is it's actually 100 years old. Wow, I didn't know that. The reason why I got this book was because I wanted to understand the basics of, what does money really mean and how do we actually maintain it, because we do want some stability in our life. So I would like to look into it. At the same time, I'm very specific about which books I want to read because I don't want to read the popular books like The Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Not in the mood to. I mean, sure, they must be quite helpful, but I really want to pick my specific choices. I don't want to go for the most popular ones, but I would like to go into the concept of money, because the point is that I don't want to spend my whole life thinking about money. I just want to understand how it works so I can maintain some stability in my life. And I feel like, especially as a woman, we should be learning these things to be financially independent, and that is something which is very important for me in my life. So yeah, I need to stop being scared about talking about money because, I mean, money is something which have been a huge part of my stress in life. It gives me a lot of pain, so it's something that I'm trying to run away from, but I need to stop that. Anyways, so for philosophy, I was thinking maybe I should start with this book, The Story of Philosophy by Will Durant. I found this as a secondhand book, so I was very much interested to see what this book is about. I feel like it mostly covers Western philosophy. I think, yeah, it does. So there's a whole chapter on Friedrich Nietzsche. And I feel like this is going to give me a lot of context to where to start and to where to go after, because I feel like I'm more interested in existentialism that Kierkegaard talks about. Kierkegaard. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, but here's one of the books that I bought, so I hope I will be getting to it. I'm really interested in that existentialism, and also the type of existentialism that Dostoevsky talks about. I have no idea if I will be able to read this month or not, but I want to read sagas of warrior poets, and the reason why I picked it up is because of Vinland Saga. So these are some Icelandic sagas, and Thorfinn from Vinland Saga was also an Icelandic adventurer. So there's literally a saga which is called as Vögland Saga. Almost there. Vigland? I'm really excited to read this one. While I visit my hometown, I really want to finish the unabridged journals of Sylvia Plath, and I feel like nature and Sylvia Plath would be the perfect mix because I feel like they are just perfect together, nature and Sylvia Plath. So these are my reading plans. Thank you so much for bearing with me until now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!